r/AskReddit. Students, teachers, what's the best forgot to turn off the mic story during virtual learning? Ironically, my IT teacher forgot to turn off his mic and camera and proceeded to get in a very heated argument on the phone with his ex-girlfriend who he has a kid with. Did I mention that she's also a teacher at our school? Yeah, most awkward 5 minutes of my life before he realized. Probably also the most awkward 5 minutes of his life. Any entertaining details from the argument? Not really from the actual argument, just a lot of swearing. But when he realized, she said, "Great, you can't even do the job you're barely qualified to do in the first place." Well, it happened in one of the classes. The teacher was going through a rough time and the class could feel it. We assured her that we had done our homework and that she could take rest for the time being. She agreed and told she would switch her mic off and sleep for a while as we did whatever. Her husband was right beside her and the mic wasn't turned off. She told, "I'm so lucky to have these students," and started sobbing to her husband. We all heard this, but kept quiet to prevent her being embarrassed. She slept well during that time, and we sent her a thank you gift collectively. As a professor teaching virtually this semester, this gives me all kinds of hope. I'm also adjunct, so I don't have money for internet points, but no, I think you deserve that shit. Thank your classmates for me. I was producing a video for some university professors on a specific medical thing for a virtual learning course. I was all set up to shoot the process, and the teachers excused themselves to the next office to regroup and have a chat. I already had their wireless lav mics attached and fed to my camera, so when I sat down at the camera and put on my headphones, I immediately heard their conversation. They were criticizing me, saying they couldn't believe they hired someone so young, inexperienced in that particular medical field, how I looked, how I asked questions, etc. Oops. At least I made them a fine video. These days I don't put my headphones on until we are about to shoot. Oh, that's so sad. I hope you proved them wrong big time with an amazing video. I did my best. I work with very senior academics, and they very quickly fall into the trap of failing to recognize non-academic expertise. But I've also realized that they are, almost always, really good, but very focused, human beings. I'm lucky in that I'm a very well qualified science communicator. But know that these people are very evidence-based. You do a good job. They'll love you forever because you remove hassle from their life. During my English class, this one girl forgot to mute herself. While my teacher was talking, she almost deafened all of us on the Zoom call answering her mother's questions. Her mother, from a distance, "What class are you in?" Hair yelling, "English." Her mother, "Oh, the hot teacher?" Hair, "Yeah, that guy." Now, even I'll admit my teacher is fairly attractive, but it does take it to another level when you get your own mother involved. Thankfully, our teacher is a chill guy and thought the whole thing was just kind of funny and kind of just gave a general reminder to the class to keep mics muted. She didn't say anything for the rest of the class. Hell, it probably made his week. There was at one time when a student had to share their screen, accidentally sharing NSFW materials. Oh, almost happened to me. I was reviewing some questions with a student with screen sharing on. When I finished explaining the given topic, I gave her time to write down an answer and alt-tab ed into Discord to answer a friend. It opened in the NSFW channel of an anim server. 2 naked girls, full display, in a truly marvelous scene. Fortunately for me, it seemed to be only sharing the other window. I made the test after, and even if it wasn't, she seemingly wasn't paying attention. Of course, there is still the chance she saw it, and if that was the case, I'm just glad she made it easier for both of us, and just didn't say anything. In a math class I was in last year, we were taking a test, which you have to turn your mic on for, their way of trying to prevent cheating. Some girl apparently forgot that hers was on, and started belting out "Stand By You" by Rachel Platten at the top of her lungs. It went on for the entire song, and she was still humming it when I finished the test and left the call. Lol, having your mic on does not stop text conversations, as far as my experience goes anyways. You could literally Google answers. Dude, my one teacher forgot to turn off his camera and his son was changing in the background and the son kept on looking at the camera. I remember a similar question where a mom answered that she was taking a Zoom call in the garden until a coworker mentioned that there was a naked kid skateboarding behind her. Bart Simpson. When I was doing an online algebra camp, the teacher forgot to turn off his mic while we were supposed to be doing some problems. He said, "I ducking hate math." As a math major, I can confirm that the better you are at math, the more you hate it. As someone extremely shitty at math, I can confirm that it goes both ways. I'm okay at math, but goddamn do I ducking hate it. My teacher got scolded by his wife, another teacher in school, because she needed to work and he didn't repair her computer. He was a computer technology teacher and he just keeps saying, "Sorry honey, I forgot. I won't do it again. I promise it will take 2 seconds to fix it." In loop because the wife went on a little rant of how he always forgot things. When he saw the mic was still on, he blushed and after a moment of silence just went on with the lesson. After a moment of silence just went on with the lesson. A moment of silence for his pride, LMAO. A few years ago during one of my exams, our professor brought her husband to help distribute scantrons because it was a big lecture hall and she was just dogging his ass out the entire time. It was really uncomfortable to watch. Girl forgot to turn off her mic and started screaming at her parents in Chinese. I wish I understood what she said. After few minutes, she gasped loudly when she finds out she didn't mute it. In a thermodynamics class, one of the students said, "Holy shit, this is so much," after covering a large set of equations related to fugacity. Everyone found it relatable. One of my professor's classes had a student say something like, "I just joined 5 minutes before class and this asshole is already teaching." The professor just laughed and told him his mic was on. Something similar happened in my class. In Zoom you can text something for the entire class to see, or you can send something to a person individually. So, a friend of mine thought he sent me, "This ducking retard can't expect us to do that exercise. It's 8 AM in the morning," but he sent it to the entire class. The teacher saw it, everything stopped for like 30 seconds, and then he continued like nothing ever happened. Felt bad for the guy. In one of my classes, this girl wrote in the Zoom chat, "This is so ducking boring," not realizing that the professor could see it. How stupid do you have to be to do that? I mean, it literally says, "To everyone." Wrong window? Maybe she also had a private group chat going with friends. Pro tip, there's no such thing as a private chat group in Zoom. At the end of the meeting, the host can access the transcripts of all chats, including private chats. Not a mic, but an elementary student left their camera for a moment and the mother walked by naked. Guessing she asked him to leave the room so she could change or something, not realizing the camera was left on. I'm not a student, but work in the tech industry. I've been in meetings where people forget to mute themselves on large company calls with hundreds or thousands of attendees, and we'll hear a fart and then a toilet flush. That's about as interesting as these meetings get though. Same. We had an update about a reorganization that was supposed to be very serious because everyone's job was on the line. There were like 1k people on the call and the vice president couldn't get a word in because there was always someone unmuted in a room filled with babies operating a jackhammer or something. Also there was a toilet flush, which was hilarious. The image of a room full of babies operating a jackhammer is awesome. I just did 8-hour Zoom calls for 7 weeks training for a new project. On the second week, a man unmutes his call, farts the longest fart I've ever heard in my life, then when he finishes, mutes the call. I can see others laughing, while muted at his fatal error of thinking he wasn't muted, and so he went to mute his call. I found this to be the highlight of the week, but the following week the guy does it again. Honestly, the second time I laughed, but then started to wonder if it was some kind of power move. It was definitely a power move to assert dominance. Not virtual, but I was a guest speaker at a music college last year. My mic was still on when I finished, went backstage and said, "Well, that was ducking horrible." I wasn't called back to speak again. The students probably loved it. Can confirm, am student, world loved it. I had a student give a smart-ass response to a question I asked, and before I could respond his mom starts chewing into him and hitting him with a chancla. His mic and video was on for the whole thing. Edit, I did not report the single mother who took time off from her only remaining job during a pandemic, so she could make sure her sons were able to access their education. Didn't strike me as abusive. I did call her after school to talk and let her know I would keep her updated on how her son was doing in my class so that, hopefully, between the two of us, we could keep him out of trouble. Today I learned, chancla means flip-flop. I love that word. The very sound of it. It sounds like something you would slap someone with. I had a student's boyfriend, both college, walk up behind her on Zoom, reach into her shirt, pull out her breasts, and start doing a little boob dance. She was just laughing and playfully slapping his hands away. This was probably 30 seconds after I had just gone through my whole speech of making sure there was nothing in your browser history, Google search history, or names of folders that could be embarrassing or offensive. They probably knew. He was establishing dominance over the rest of class. One time in an art class, separate from my school, my dad knocked on my door. It was dead silent at that point. Everyone was working on their projects. I clicked the mute button and yelled, "What?" Turns out my mic was already muted, and I turned it on. I startled the entire class and the teacher asked if I was okay. My son was in a class, and I thought his mic was muted. I had cut myself, and walked over to gross him out and said, "Son, there's so much blood." And he responded, "You're gonna get blood on me." His class went silent and the teacher asked if he was okay. Oops. We laughed about it later. During a virtual gym class for my high school, a girl forgot to mute herself during a workout and yelled some obscene things very loudly. It never occurred to me that there would be virtual gym class, but it makes sense, I guess. Also, they should allow obscenity in schools, especially in gym class, creative writing, and computer programming. I was visiting my best friend during a lecture, and she had her mic and video turned off. She then had to join a group discussion and sometimes unmuted herself to contribute something. After that, the whole class was supposed to present their results and she supposedly muted herself again. I started venting to her how wasps are considered wild bees, even though they have no business being bees, because they're assholes, and suddenly we hear laughter from her professor and her classmates. She forgot to mute herself. A student's mother had a habit of standing just off camera and very closely observing her kid. I know this because one time the student forgot to disable the mic. Everyone heard how the mother was coaching the student how to act. Don't look my way, smile, pay attention. It was next level helicoptering, right on the edge of abuse in my opinion. Our school has a good counselor and the student is getting help. All the teachers have been advised to limit contact with the mother and not make waves, lest she withdraw the student or redouble her controlling behavior. I worry about it. I had to defend my thesis over Zoom, and many professors came into the call to watch. My thesis was about immune response in fish to parasites. One professor joined late and forgot to mute her mic, and we got treated to this little gem. Mommy is learning about fish parasites, which is what you'll get if you don't stop peeing in the koi pond. Some guy's mother started yelling at him, "Turn down the freaking sound. I'm so sick of listening to your classes the whole day. Go to the balcony and continue from there or just bloody drop out of uni," along with a set of few swear words. Our professor muted him, so I don't really know what happened next,